We continue now at the top of Daf Samech Vav Amud Aleph in Mesechet Sanhedrin. This is Sanhedrin Daf 66a. The Gemara is in the middle of a brisa giving examples of what is menachesh. If a person, for example, says Al Taschil Bi, don't begin with me, because again that's bad luck. Rashi says Al Taschil Bi Kishabah Hagabe Ligvos Hamas Mimenu. For example, let's say the tax collector is coming to collect the tax. He says don't start with me because that's a bad omen. That would be menachesh. Or let's say a person says Shacharisu, it's the morning. Rashi explains Shacharisu Shayatovea Mimenu Chov. Let's say a person is again claiming some kind of debt. Amar Lo, in the response is he says to him Shacharisu, it's the morning. I don't want the beginning of the day to be with payment. Again, that's like saying it's some kind of omen. If a person says that, that also would be under the category of the prohibition of menachesh. Or if a person says Rosh Chodeshu, a person says it's Rosh Chodesh. Rashi says Rosh Chodeshu, so Hamten li ad mocher. Let's wait until tomorrow. Or let's say the person says Motzai Shabbos, so it's Motzai Shabbos. Rashi says Motzai Shabbos, so Rishon li Yemei HaShavu, it's the first day of the week. I don't want to start the week in that fashion. All of those would be examples of menachesh. And the Gemara continues, Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Lo senachashu v'lo sonenu. It says, again, you can't do nichosh, and also there's a prohibition, Lo sonenu, can't violate the prohibition of onen. Kagon elo hamenachashim bechulda beofos uvedagim. The example would be those who are menachesh, those who violate this by committing sorcery, either with the weasel or with birds or with fish. And again, the idea is that they are receiving guidance based on what happens to these various animals. That would be a violation of these prohibitions. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, HaMechalas HaShabbos. If somebody is Mechal Shabbos, desecrates Shabbos, B'dover Shechayavan Al Zdona Kares, specifically with something where if you do it b'mezid, you get Kares, Ve'al Shegagaso Chatos. If you do it by mistake, it's a carbon Chatos. So for those situations, if the person is warned, that would carry the death penalty. Rashi explains HaMechalas HaShabbos to Choshev Leitana ben Eskol, and the Tana also considers Chilul Shabbos among those that get skilo, stoning, Kagon Shechilolo b'Malacha Gemura. That's talking specifically about a full Malacha. You violate Shabbos by committing a Malacha, which is Chayiv, Kares, and Chayiv, Chatos, by Shogeg, Shechayavan al Zedono, Kares, Ve'al Shegagaso, Chatos, Kagon Davar Sheyesh Bo Maisa. What it means is something where there's an action, Umeleches Machsheves, and it's a Malacha done with intention, V'lo HaMesasik. It's not something that's just done Mesasik, that it was done without the person even realizing that's what he was doing. And the Gemara says, Mechlal di ika midi de chilul Shabbos have ve'ein chayaven lo al shegagaso chatos v'lo al zedona kares. The implication of the Mishnah is there is some kinds of violations of Shabbos where the person is not going to bring a carbon chatos if he does it b'shogeg, and not going to get kares if he does it b'mezid. Ma'hi, what are those examples? And the Gemara says, Tchumen v'aliba de Rabbi Akiva. First of all, let's say a person leaves the boundary line of Shabbos, he violates the prohibition of Tchum. According to Rabbi Akiva, that is a violation on a doraisa level, but that would not carry the death penalty. And also havara, let's say a person burns a fire, the aliba de Rabbi Yossi, that would follow Rabbi Yossi. Again, Rabbi Yossi is the one that says that burning is specified in the Torah to say that it is just a negative commandment, but it does not carry the death penalty. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, HaMekalel Ave V'imo, one who curses his father or his mother, Eino Chayiv ad she'yikalelim b'shem, he's not Chayiv, talking again about the death penalty until he curses them with the name of Hashem. Kilalem bekinoi, let's say he does it with an appellation of the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so then it's a machlokas tanoim. Rabbi Meir mechayev, Rabbi Meir says chayev, v'chachamim pocher, and the chachamim say potter in that case. And Rashi explains that she'ikalaleim b'shem, she'ikalal b'shemos hagemur, and he has to curse them with the real names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But kilalam b'kinoi, but if he does it with a kinoi, kagon, for example, Shakai, Tzivokos, Chanun, Racham, if he uses any of those names, so then again we have a machlokas tanoim in the Mishnah. And the Gemara says, Man Chachamim, who is the Chachamim in the Mishnah? Who are the Chachamim in the Mishnah who say that by kinoi, the person is potter? Rabbi Menachem, Rabbi Yossi, that the Chachamim is following the opinion of Rabbi Menachem, Rabbi Yossi. The Tanyas we learned in a brayso, Rabbi Menachem and Rabbi Yossi Omer. Rabbi Menachem, Rabbi Yossi says, Benokvo Shem Yumas. It says in the pasuk, Benokvo Shem, again talking about the Shem Hashem, that the person should die. Matamad Lomar Shem. Why does it say the word Shem in the pasuk? Limed al Mekalel Ave V'imo. It's teaching us that when a person curses his father or his mother, She'eno Chayiv ad she'yikalelim b'shem, he's only going to be liable when he curses them with the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's the same shita as the Chachamim in our Mishnah. And Rashi explains, Benakvo yumas hayalo lichtov. It could have just said Benakvo yumas. It didn't need to use the word shame. Matam lomar shame. Why does it say the word shame? Imeino inyan lo. Now, if we don't need it for that particular issue, Daksiv and nokev shame. It already talks about nokev shame. It already talks about cursing the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we don't need it for that. So Tanei inyan lemakal lav v'imo. So we'll apply the pasuk to a case of someone cursing his father or his mother, even though that's not the context of the actual pasuk. For Reb Menachem lo svir lehadid darshinan lael. Now Reb Menachem, who's making this drasha from the pasuk of Benakvo Shem Yumas, does not hold of the drasha we had earlier, Mehai Krah, from this very same pasuk, where that drasha was actually Yivorech Shem b'Shem. There was another drasha we had earlier that learns from this pasuk they have to curse the name of Hashem with the name of Hashem. Ve'afilu lo berech Shem b'Shem eli yisborech Yosi. And so this Reb Menachem, Reb Yosi holds, even if you don't do that, even if it's not Shem b'Shem, you just say a curse of the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Reb Menachem, Reb Yosi mechayev oleh. Reb Menachem, Reb Yosi would say chayiv in that situation, and again, that's why he's using the drasha in this fashion, applying it to mekalel aviv v'imo, that you have to actually curse. He has to actually curse his father or his mother with the name of Hashem. And the Gemara continues, Tanu Rabban, and the rabbis taught ish. It says in the pasuk ish, Matamad lomar ish ish. Why does it say in the pasuk ish ish? This is the pasuk of one who curses his father or his mother. The full pasuk is ki ish ish asher yikalel es aviv es ima mos yumas. It says when a person curses his father or his mother, he will surely die. Avav imo kilel dam of bo. It says he's cursed his father, his mother. So dam of bo, his blood is to him. And so, what does it say? Ish ish. Why does it say the word ish twice? The Brisa says larabos bas. It comes to include even if it's a daughter. It doesn't have to be a son. And tumtum v'androgynous. It could also be a tumtum and an androgynous. Tumtum is somebody that you can't identify the gender. Androgynous is a person who has signs of both genders. And the Brisa continues, Asher Yakalel es aviv v'imo. It says he curses his father or his mother. Ainli elo aviv v'imo. Now I might think it's his father and his mother. It has to be both. Aviv shelo imo. What if he curses his father but not his mother? Imo shelo aviv. Or let's say he curses his mother, not his father. Minayin. How do you know he's liable in that case as well? Talmud lomer. So that's when the pasuk goes on to say aviv v'imo kilel dam of bo. When it repeats it and says aviv v'imo kilel dam of bo. So now you have the mother next to the word kilel, and in the beginning of the pasuk again where it started the pasuk. So it said Ishish Asher Yakalel es aviv. So father is closer to the word Yakalel. So we learn from that aviv kilel, imo kilel. We understand from that if he curses just his father, if he curses just his mother, he's going to be liable. Divrei Rabbi Yoshia. That's the opinion of Rabbi Yoshia. Rabbi Yonasan says Mash mashnein ke'echad umash me'echad b'fnei atzmo. Actually, you don't even need to have a drasha because just in general, when you have a pasuk written in this fashion, it's mashma if you do both together, and it's also mashma if you just do one of them. That's automatically understood from the pasuk. Unless the pasuk says yachtav. If the pasuk would say together, so then we would say it has to be both. But if it doesn't say yachtav, which it doesn't say over here, so then of course it means either his father or his mother. That's Rabbi Yonasan's opinion. And finally, mos yumas beskila. It says in the pasuk that he'll surely die, and we understand beskila, it's with stoning. Ata omer beskila, you're saying that he dies with the death penalty of stoning. Oeno ela ba'achas mikol misa, so amurs b'Torah. Maybe it's one of the other death penalties that's mentioned in the Torah. Nemar kan dam of bo. It says at the end of this pasuk dam of bo. V'nemar lahalon demehem bum, and it says in the pasuk also demehem bum. That's by Ov and Yedoni. Ma'lahalon beskila afkan beskila. Just like over there, it's with stoning. So too over here, it's with stoning. And the Brisa continues onesh shamanu azhara minayin. So we see from here the idea of a punishment for cursing one's father or one's mother. Where do we see the warning from? Talmud lomar, the pasuk says Elohim lo sakal. It says you cannot curse Elohim. We'll see exactly what that means. And so we understand im haya aviv dayon. Now let's say his father was a judge, assuming that the word Elohim refers to a judge. Harehu bechlal Elohim lo sakalo. So that's going to be included in Elohim lo sakalo. That includes a judge. So you can't curse your father because he might be a judge. Vim haya aviv nasi. And now let's say his father was a nasi. Let's say his father was a president or a king. Harehu bechlal v'nasi bi'am chalosar. So that's included in the pasuk of v'nasi bi'am chalosar. It says you're not allowed to curse a nasi. So you have your father included in that fashion. But eino lo dayan v'lo nasi. But what if he's not a dayan? What if he's not a nasi? Minayin. So from where are we going to know that a person curses his father, that there's a warning? We say as follows. Harei atadon binyan av mishneim. What we can do is we learn a binyan av from the combination of the two of them. When you have a binyan av, so it's similar to a mamatzinu. A mamatzinu would be just like we find it's true by a nasi, for example, so too would be true by his father. A binyan av is we take the combination over here in this particular situation. We're going to do a binyan av mishneim. We're going to take the combination of the two as follows. Lo roi nasi karoi dayan. Velo roi dayan karoi nasi. A nasi is not the same as a dayan, and a dayan is not exactly the same as a nasi. Lo roi dayan karoi nasi. A judge is not like a nasi. Sharei dayan atam mitzuva al horaso, because by a judge you're commanded in terms of following his rulings. Karoi nasi, that's not like a nasi. Shiyatam mitzuva al horaso, you're not commanded to follow his halachic rulings. V'lo roi nasi karoi dayan, but on the other hand, the nasi is not like a dayan. Shah nasi atam mitzuva al hamraaso, because a nasi, one is commanded in terms you're not allowed to rebel against the king. Karoi dayan shiyatam mitzuva al hamraaso. There's no concept of rebelling when it comes to a judge. And so the Brisa says, Hatzad Hashavah Shabahem, the common denominator, when it comes to a nasi and a judge, Shehein Ba'amcha, they're part of your people. V'yatom Muzra al Kilalasan, and you're warned against cursing them. Afani Avi Avicha, so too I can include your father, Shaba'amcha is part of your people. V'yatom Muzra al Kilalasan, and you're warned with regards to cursing him. But the Gemara still asks, Mal Hatzad Hashavah Shabahen. The Brisa asks, but when it comes to the common denominator, Shekein Gedu Lasam Garmalahen, maybe it's the fact that they have a certain greatness, a certain authority that you can't curse them. So who says that we should include the person's father? Talmud Lomer, the pasuk says, Lo sakal al chayrish. It also says you're not allowed to curse the deaf mute. Even those who are lower among your people, the pasuk is speaking about. But the Gemara still says, Malacherish, Shekain Charisha, so Garmalo, maybe when it comes to a deaf mute, the reason you can't curse him is because of the point is, because of the fact he's deaf, because of the fact he can't hear you, that's why there's a prohibition. But the Gemara says, Nasi v'dayin yochichu, but then we can prove the other way, because a Nasi and a dayan, they're not in that position, they're not deaf mutes, so they should prove that it's not dependent on that factor. But Mal Nasi v'dayin, Shekain Gedulas and Garmalahen, but on the other hand, the Nasi and the dayan, maybe it's the greatness that is causing this to be a warning that you're not allowed to curse them. So cheresh yochiach, but the deaf mute can prove the other way because he doesn't have that gedula, that greatness. The chazar hadin, so we go back and forth. Lo roizeh karoizeh, lo roizeh karoizeh. This one is not like that one is not like this one. Hatzad hashavah shebehen, the common denominator, shehein ba'amcha, they're part of your people. V'yatam muzar al kilalasan, you're warned against cursing them. Afani avi avicha, so too I bring your fathers included. Sheba'amcha is part of your people. V'yatam muzar al kilalasan, you're warned against cursing him. But the Brisa continues and asks, what can we say about the tzad hashava, the common denominator? Shekein meshunin, that all of these cases are unique. Whether we're talking about a nasi, whether we're talking about a dayan, or whether we're talking about a cherish, there's something unique. So who says to apply it to a regular situation? But the Brisa says, Elohim kain, but if that were true, nichtov kra o Elohim v'cherish, the pasuk could just write the judge and the deaf mute. O nasi v'cherish, or only write the nasi and the deaf mute. Elohim lamali, why do we need to have that it says all three of them? Why do we need to have that it says Elohim, Nasi, and Cherish? Emeino inyan legufo, so if you can't apply it to the issue itself, Teneyu inyan la'aviv, so then we'll apply it and we'll say again that it comes to include the father. So again, from the combination of the three, from the combination of Dayan, of judge, and Cherish, deaf mute, and Nasi, we're able to include a warning for the person's father. But the Gemara continues, Hanichol amanda Amar Elohim chol. Now all of this works out if we hold that Elohim is chol, it's mundane, meaning to say the word Elohim is not referring to God, but it's referring to judges. Elamanda Amar Kodesh, but according to the one who says that the word Elokim in the pasuk is Kodesh, is holy, it's a reference to God, that one can't curse God. So Ma'ikol Amemar, so then what are we going to say? How are we going to do this entire limud to learn out a warning when it comes to one's father? You can't do the same limud that the Brisa just mentioned. Tanya, because we learned in a Brisa, Elohim chol, divrei Rabbi Yishmael. Rabbi Yishmael says that Elohim is chol, it's mundane, it refers to a judge. Rabbi Akiva Omer Elokim Kodesh, but Rabbi Akiva says Elokim, it's Kodesh, it's holy, it refers to God, it refers to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'tanyan, we learned in a Brisa, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Omer, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, Azhara lemevorech es Hashem minayin, from where do we know a warning in terms of cursing the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Talmud Lomer, the pasuk says, Elokim lo sakalal, again it says, one cannot curse Elokim, that's a reference to God, according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. And so the Gemara's question again is, according to the one who holds that Elokim is Kodesh, that it's a reference to cursing the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how are we going to have this limud? And the Gemara continues and answers, Lamando Amar Elohim Chol, according to the one who says that Elohim is Chol, that it's referring to a judge, so then of course again you can have the limud like the above brisa, so you can learn out one's father. And Gamar Kodesh Michol, and in terms of learning out a warning from cursing the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we can learn out Kodesh from Chol, it will be a Ma'amatzinu, just like a person is not allowed to curse a judge, so of course a person is not allowed to curse the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Lamad Amar Elokim Kodesh, and according to the one who says that Elokim is Kodesh, that the pasuk is actually referring to cursing the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But Gamrin on Chol mi Kodesh, we'll just learn the other way. We'll learn cursing a judge, we'll learn Chol from Kodesh, and learn that it applies there as well. But the Gemara continues and asks, can you really say that? I understand if one says that Elohim is chol, that it refers to a judge, we can make a kal v'chomer. If you can't curse a judge, you certainly cannot curse HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But according to the one who says that Elohim is kodesh, it refers to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Gamar chol mi kodesh, can we really learn chol from kodesh? Dilma kodesh azar, achol lo azar. Maybe when it comes to kodesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there's a warning not to curse HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but maybe there is no warning when it comes to judges. So again, how do you learn the warning for a judge, and how do we learn the father from that sad hashava that we had above? But the Gemara says to that, no, because in Cain, if so, if the warning was only for kodesh and not for chol, lichtov kra lo sakel, the pasuk could just say, it wouldn't have to say lo sakalel, it could have just said lo sakel, it would have only referred to kodesh and not to chol, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Samech Vav Amid Beis.